Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the showdown between the Beastmen, who shall be led by Flying Taco and Worker the Shadow gave, and the Greenskins, who are going to be helmed by Git Crumper, who is also known as Slade X, and he's going to be using a Night Goblin Warboss. So on that note, guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the Beastmen build goes, it's going to be pretty chariot heavy. So it does have two groups of the Razor Gore chariots, which are actually quite expensive. These bad boys do cost 1,000 gold, but they hit like trucks. They have a charge bonus of 80. They have really good AP values. You can see here, 34 of the 48 is going to be armor piercing, plus a bonus versus infantry of 24. So I definitely like this pick against Greenskins, who often do use black orcs, and even against like savage orcs and goblins and things like that, these guys can do some work. Granted, the Greenskins have some pretty good answers for goblin spider riders, a lot of like cheap high mass units that can pin them down. So it's very much going to be a game of cat and mouse. So in the rest of the front line, it's going to be Ungor Spearman herds, just kind of chaff. And you can see he kind of has a bit of a layered formation. So it looks like he's going to be sending in wave after wave, trying to wear down the Greenskins. Because of course the Greenskins are a very kind of a, I wouldn't say all in, but they hit very hard out of the gates, right? So your first formation typically is going to get crumped. And from there, obviously you can wear them down once the wall wears off and their frenzy wears off and things like that. But the Beastmen are kind of the same way. So it's a little bit tricky, but we'll see how he plays it. So it's going to be Ungor Spearmans. Two groups of Vestigores, or actually it's just going to be one. So Vestigores can beat most Greenskin infantry with the exception of Black Orcs. They have a really nice charge bonus. They hit hard, but their 24 melee defense in sustained combat certainly is gets a little bit dicey. He does also have a Bray Shaman with the Lore of Wild, and as far as spells, he's going to be summoning a Cygor, it looks like, and he does also have the Vile Tide. So another chariot. So in total, he's going to have 3 chariot units. The Bray Shaman on the chariot does have good AP, good bonus for his infantry, and a nice charge bonus. Worker the Shadow gave, I think, is the most solid pick here. I mean, Malagor is very good for summoning Cygors, but he's not as good as before. And I think if you're trying to play competitive play, I think Morker is just the best pick. Because Malagor, yeah, summoning Cygors is cool and all, but I mean, he doesn't bring too much else to the table other than being a cheap Cygor summoner. So, and obviously summons do disappear after a set amount of time now. So it's not what it used to be back in my day. And he does also have 3 groups of Ungor Raiders here in the back, going to be getting some missile pressure. And the Eye of Moorsleep going to be cackling in the corner, using this river as some natural terrain with some Ungors nearby to protect it. So yeah, he does have the range advantage, so he's going to want to drag this battle out for sure. And for the Greenskins, a very aggressive walk coming in from Slade X. He does have goblins on the flanks, a whole front line of Savage Orcs, Savage Orc Biggins, Night Goblins, just savageness across the entire front line. Savage Orc Biggins are a great pick against the Beastmen. They have anti-large, so against the Minotaurs and some of the larger threats they can do well. But honestly, with their base stats, they can just like mow down most infantry. These guys are just straight up beast mode. And the secondary line has got two Rusty Errors, or Boys. He does have some nasty Skulkers, so in case the Chariot does come back here, he does have a Smoke Bomb to use. He's got the Giant as well. Giant will go down very quickly against Ungor Raiders, but if it's able to, or if the Greenskins are able to swamp the Archers, this guy can do some serious work. He does have some Trolls as well as a Night Goblin Shaman with the Vindictive Glare, a bunch of Forest Goblin Spider Riders in the back, which are a very good answer against like Centaurs and Beastmen skirmishing. And what else does he have? I think for his leadership, he does also have a Night Goblin Warboss. So this is the Slade X special. This guy does have the Tormentor Sword, which makes him very, very beastly. I mean, it is such a good item. Being able to pin things down with the Greenskins is always quite useful. So on that note, guys, let's get this show on the road. Excuse me there, and see how this goes. So the first boulders are going to be making contact here with the Savage Orc Biggins, and it looks like 5 of the Biggins have gone out so far. I mean, they do have a relatively tightly packed formation, not as much as like Black Orcs, but for the most part, the boulders will still do some pretty good damage. So the Chariots are going to be sweeping about, maybe looking to kind of overload this flank a little bit. The Greenskins do have Forest Goblin Spider Riders everywhere, though, so you have to be really careful with these Chariots here. But the first Bacon is going to be charging in, and these Goblins are not going to have a good time, as the Wild Hogs do get in there, and some of those Gobbos are sent flying. So it looks like the Greenskins are going to be responding with a Vindictive Glare, which is going to be going downtown, and it looks like it's going after the Bray Shaman, and huge damage coming in. I mean, they didn't even all make contact, and that's huge. That's like 20-25% damage on that character for that one spell. Granted, the Goblin did Overcast and Blast himself, but I still think for cost, it came out ahead for the Greenskins. So the Greenskin front line still advancing, having taken some saturated boulder fire in the front line. The Chariots did get into a little bit of damage against the Goblins, but for the most part, the Chariots are going to be pulling back and probably engaging at a later time. So first, the Vestigore herds are going to be charging in the front line, meeting these Savage Orcs head-to-head. Savage Orcs have a huge charge bonus of 37, actually more than Vestigores. The Vestigores, of course, have the armor, so the fighting is underway. Very bloody affair here, and you can see the initial impact does favor the Vestigores pretty heavily, but in sustained combat, you know, Savage Orcs have really, really high melee attack. They have 48 melee attack. There's a Giant coming in. There's a Night Goblin Warboss. So there's going to be quite a bit of help. And also the Goblin and Orc Archer line in the back is able to melt those Vestigores who lose their frenzy and get terror routed. So the Savage Orc Biggins performing pretty well with a little bit of support. Over here, you can see the Beastmen are going to be getting crumped here as well. Ungor Spearman's getting pushed back, and the Savage Orcs across the entire front line, very, very efficient against low-tier Beastmen infantry. So far, the first herd of the Beastmen has kind of fallen in the front. I mean, some of these spears are going to be holding for a little bit longer, but good Chariot play in the flanks. So you can see here, Flying Taco is going to be getting the Chariots, running into the Savage Orcs and just trying to support his infantry formation. So obviously, his infantry as a standalone entity isn't going to be as good as the Greenskins, but the Chariots are going to be a super solid supporting element. And it looks like the other Chariot has come back in, but the Forest Goblin Spider Riders, like I said, a very, very good tool for for pinning these things down. And Gorkle Fix-It has been popped as well, lowering their speed by 50%. So these things have 28 speed. The Forest Goblin Spider Riders, of course, with their poison, going to be pretty efficient, but it looks like here he does also have some Ungors who are going to be helping. In the meantime, the Trolls are going to be pulled from reserve, and Trolls are also another very good unit against Chariots. And you can see here the Razorgore Chariots pretty much get flipped upside down, trash canned, and that's going to be all she wrote. Now another Cygor summon has gone down. The Cygor is going to be stomping the yard, just straight up just going deep on these Orc Air Boys right here. But, I mean, summon units are just so much weaker. This thing has already lived about 25% of its life here, and it's only stomped a couple of orcs. So for the cost, I mean, I don't know. I feel like summoning big units like this nowadays, it's just, I mean, I guess if it's going to be throwing boulders, it's still worth it. But in this case, it's just going to kill a couple of orcs and then disappear. Now, back in the main fight, the Greenskins, like I said, have really pushed through. So if you take a look at the battlefield, the front line of the Beastmen has faltered, but they really were playing kind of a saturated layer style of play where they have like multiple layers that kind of trickle in just to try and wear the Greenskins down. So Morker was kept in reserve, which is a really good idea. Against Greenskins, you don't want to put Morker in the front line because if you do, oftentimes your front line just buckles. He's left alone, he gets dragged down and killed. But in this case, he's back with the reserves. He's going to be summoning Chaos Spawn, which, will hit a Giant pretty hard. Giants are lightly armored. Chaos Spawn have really good damage against, lightly armored targets. So it's going to be a good situation for them as the Giant. Still in good health, though. He's going to be clubbing these guys pretty good. And the Nasty Skulkers and the rest of the Greenskin support is going to be fleeing here. Some Savage Orcs going to be trying to slip by here, but they're probably just going to get terror-ratted by the Eye of Morsleep, I would imagine. So over here, back in the main fight, you can see the Bray Shaman, or I wouldn't say the main fight, but in the backfield of the Greenskins, the Bray Shaman is going to be riding dirty, getting some pretty good kills on his chariot. He only has 18, but he's done some pretty good HP damage. The Trolls are going to be hot in pursuit, and this Cygor is going to be disappearing in a matter of seconds. So summons with this new patch, exponentially weaker. I mean, this Cygor normally would have been maybe down to 30-40% HP, but would have fought to the bitter end. But now it's going to be disappearing in a couple seconds. So, definitely raises a bit of a debate. Are summons still worth it in every matchup? Beastmen certainly got hit pretty hard by the nerfs on summons. So right here, this Eye of Morsleep is going to be dropping some bows, some huge hits right here in the Giant. And the Beastmen actually do pull ahead on the Bounce of Power, but that's partially because there was a second group of Chaos Spawn that were summoned. So Chaos Spawn obviously are pretty powerful units. They're going to count towards a lot in the Bounce of Power. So, once they do disappear, it could normalize. So some of the Chaos Spawn are going to be sent over here. Obviously, the Beastmen backline a little bit tattered up, and some of the Raiders, or not Raiders, but some of the Forest Goblin Spider Riders and these other troops are going to be harassing the back line, causing some problems. And those Chaos Spawn actually do disappear, but not before Morker and his other Chaos Spawn, plus the Eye of Morsleep, who got some pretty good buffs. So Cygor's got a buff of, I believe, 800 HP. They also got a buff to their damage strength, or not damage strength, weapon strength. So they're quite a bit stronger now. So this Cygor is going to be coming in, going fisticuffs, and it looks like the Greenskin Giant is going to be falling to the horde of angry beasts. And he's probably going to be crumping some of his own gits on the way out. You can see some of these Savage Orcs do get knocked back, so not fun for those guys. But the Giant has fallen. The Eye of Morsleep, very, very powerful combatant, is going to be able to do some pretty good work against Trolls. 52 melee attack is no joke, plus 450 weapon strength. I mean, he's almost like a Giant himself that can throw a boulder. You can see the rock is like, look how haggard that looks. It's like sliding around his shoulder. That's pretty funny. But yeah, he's going to be stomping some of those Trolls for sure. So if we take a big old look at the battlefield, the Beastmen are going to finally be securing their back line. The Chariot play has been very good. The Bray Shaman here are going to be riding through these guys, supporting some of the other gore herds against goblins. And this is a little bit tough for the Greenskins because, unfortunately, the Eye of Morsleep is still alive. So this bad boy is going to be throwing rocks, and it is going to be forcing the Greenskins in, so they can't really, take a breath to recoup their forces. On the other side, though, a very, very nice catch here by Slade X. He is able to get the Night Goblin War Boss. I believe he used the Tormentor Sword to pin these guys down, got some Savage Orc Biggins and some Archer Fire, and was able to shut down the Chariots here. So pretty good value. The Chariot has one model left, and I'm sure this little Night Goblin War Boss is at the very least going to be able to chase him off. And as far as Chariots go, the Beastmen do have a Brace Shaman with the Lore of Wild left. On the other side, a lot of Greenskins coming back. So just Archers, Forest Goblin Spider Riders. It looks like the Rusty Ears, but the Warlords boys here, or the Unbreakable Goblin ROR, and some Nasty Skulkers. So there's still quite a few Greenskins left, and it looks like all of the summons for the Beastmen are pretty much gone. But like I said, the Beastmen have the advantage of having the Cygor. And, the Orcs do have some Archers that could shoot in here. The Orc Air Boys can come do some damage. And, that might actually be enough to force the Beastmen out. Hard to say. So over here, the Night Goblin War Boss is going to be making sure to chase off the Razorgore Chariot. So pretty good. That Chariot could be quite annoying in his back line here. He doesn't have too much high mass left aside from these Forest Goblins. The Trolls here are getting taken to Pound Town pretty bad. They've been fighting, but obviously they can run away and regenerate. But yeah, they're going to be getting chased off by a bunch of low-tier spears. Call of Violence has been popped by Morker the Shadowgave, going to be juicing those guys up. And the Eye of Morsleep going to be stomping, just stomping around all angrily. His host just doing some serious work. And it looks like these Trolls are going to be broken off. But the Orc Air Boys are just going to be shooting in, and they have a lot of good targets. But the biggest threat is really the Eye of Morsleep. Everything else is very manageable. But aside from that, I mean, man, he's pretty big and meaty over there. Some Forest Goblin Spider Riders do try and jump into the back to break off some Ungors, and it looks like they are able to succeed and get rid of one of the healthy Ungors. They were healthy a minute ago. They had like 40 or 50 models. I believe, and plenty of ammunition, of course. So that's a pretty good little dive there, but he is going to be taking some casualties. Some Forest Goblin Spider Riders will be breaking, but the Night Goblin War Boss is pretty healthy, but even still, he is an okay duelist. 400 weapon strength, bonus for his infantry, poison. Morker the Shadowgave is pretty good against characters like that. I mean, he's going to be healing, and he's going to be a tough cow to break. So right now, it looks like the Goblins are going to be jumping in. So these are the Unbreakable Goblins, which actually could do some potentially decent damage here. They are poisoned themselves, but you know, they're going to be able to stand and fight, probably beat down a lot of these Ungors, and will allow a lot of the Greenskin archers in the back to potentially shoot. But it looks like there is a surge of Beastmen. So the Ungors, a very chaotic battle whenever you have any of these bestial factions fighting. So the Ungor Spear is going to be pushing in here, but the Savage Orcs are just going to be crumping these gits so hard. This is just going to be a big old club in here. So you can see these guys are going to be getting taken apart by the Savage Orcs. They're actually shaken, but you know, at the very least they are winning a fight, so that is going to help their morale a little bit. And the Ungors are going to be just crumped and pushed off here. But there is another group coming in. It might be enough to actually break these Savage Orcs. I mean, that's just like throwing enough bodies, right? 42 models right here. We still have 18 here, and the Savage Orcs are going to be fighting, but they only have 22 melee defense. So even like kind of low tier spear units can't wear them off. Now back in the main fight, a very, very good missile attack there from Slade X on the Night Goblin Shaman is able to tag the Bray Shaman, but here Flying Taco is, you know, his Helm's Deep's paying off. This Eye of More Sleep doing some really good work. The buffs haven't really, I mean, the HP buff is pretty big, but it hasn't gotten to the point where it would be dead otherwise, but still, the damage buffs to the Cygors is quite helpful. So right here, the Nasty Skulkers do kind of get tied off here. There are some Trolls coming back, and they could heal up quite a bit. They still have 9 of their 12 models, which means they could probably get back up to 60 or 70% if this battle does grind on. But it looks like he's going to be pushing them in, maybe to try and take out this Bray Shaman. If he could catch that with the Trolls, that would be very nice. So the Goblin going to be dropping some more missile attacks. A very nice missile attack, putting this Bray Shaman down very low, 296. You know, the Beastmen are just kind of holding on to that balance of power advantage, but it's just so close. I mean, it's really just all anchored in the Eye of More Sleep here. And it looks like the Night Goblin War Boss in the back is going to be shanking some of these guys. Let's see if we can actually see the Squig eat any of these beasts. But it looks like some of them are going to be decapitated by that glorious Cave Squig. We're going to see. Let's admire him in all his glory. But no, he's going to be going after the caster here, which is a great choice. Chasing off the Bray Shaman is going to be quite powerful. And with that, the balance power does kind of ebb back towards the middle, ever so slightly. But still, that Eye of More Sleep and Morker are still here. And it looks like the Goblin Shaman, who's been a true patriot of his people, is going to be getting hunted by Morker. But he's kind of quick, right? He's got 35 speed. Morker has, well, Gorko Fix It has slowed him down right now, so it's a little bit tough. But they're probably in the same ballpark. The Eye of More Sleep does also have some boulders, and plus he does have the snare ability. So he does have the warp gaze, so he could potentially kind of stare this guy down and you know, lock him in place. But I don't know what the cooldown is on that at this current moment. And it looks like some of the beast troops, some of these Ungor Spears have kind of caught up here in the back line and should be able to maybe finish off the Forest Goblin Spider Rider. It's hard to say. So the Trolls are back and they're regenerating. If you look at the rate of healing, it's pretty good. They're going to be getting a couple HP per second. So those guys could potentially rally up here with the Night Goblin War Boss and do some serious work. Some Forest Goblin Spider Riders are going to be coming back. Savage Orcs in the distance. We got some Unbreakable Goblins here that are going to be coming back. Maybe they have some Fanatics as well. And it looks like the little goblin that could is going to be getting crumped himself. He's going to be getting taken out and just backhanded by Morker the Shadowgave. Giant boulders dropped on his head. Looks like he might have been able to dodge out a little bit, but yeah, this poor little guy. I don't think he's gonna last much longer against this giant Cygor. So I was just like waiting for him to. Oh yeah, he just got destroyed. So that Cygor literally just crushed that poor goblin with the giant rock, which is always great. In the meantime, Ungor Spearman herds are going to be forming a shield wall around their lord. Some of the Orc archers are going to be coming back in, but man, Flying Taco, it's very nice that he has some ammo left here. So those boulders are going to be coming in, and it looks like over here Slade is just resting his troops. So obviously they're tired after this long battle, but it looks like he was able to rest a little bit, not moving them, and now they're just winded. But one of the Trolls does get picked off by the boulder, and they're just straight up going to be Last Samurai in here. But I feel like they're just going to shatter here in a moment. So the Night Goblin War Boss looking for an opportunity. The Trolls coming in. The wall has been popped. 3 leadership, and it looks like they're wavering, and then they are breaking. So the Trolls are going to get broken by the Eye of More Sleep here. That was like a... You guys remember that movie? I forget what it is, but like it has The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in it, and they're like on the roof of the building. They're like, hey, let's aim for the bushes, and then they just jump to their deaths. I feel like that was like the same scene with those Trolls. I can't remember what that movie was. Damn, that's going to bother me. But anyways, Morker's going to be jumping in here. The Goblin does bait them in using the Tormentor Sword, trying to get some value out of the Orc Airboys, who are at the very least going to be able to shoot at the Eye of More Sleep a little bit. And he's probably going to be cycle charging from here, just trying to get the jump on Morker. And the Goblins actually are doing a very good job. They're able to break off the spears. And now, you know, the Eye of More Sleep is a little bit exposed. The Orc Airboys are shooting. And man, if there was just like another group of Orc archers here. But it looks like Forest Goblin Spider Riders actually coming in. They are going to poison the Eye of More Sleep, of course. And the Eye of More Sleep's actually taken a lot of damage, surprisingly. It's getting worn down. And it looks like the Night Goblin War Boss is going to be jumping in. In the distance, you can see there's a fierce cockfight between these two very tattered troops here as the Ungor herds do meet the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. But the Riders are able to take them out. But I don't know. Is this Goblin going to be able to pull this game back? Morker is a very powerful combatant. I mean, that healing is just so big. The regeneration is incredibly solid. And the Goblin looks to be trying to take out the Eye of More Sleep, but the Warp Gaze does catch him. So he is being stared by the denizen of the Warp here. Although I mean, not really. He isn't from the Warp, but I guess he is kind of like I don't know, has something to do with it. He's chaos. He's corrupted by the warp. So the Eye of Morsleep here are going to be stomping this Night Goblin Shaman. I think that's pretty much going to be it. These goblins are doing a ton of damage. I mean, they're really shanking down the Eye of Morsleep. This guy's lost like 2,000 HP. That is incredible. So the Night Goblin Warboss is able to get away. These unbreakable goblins are just the true heroes of the Greenskin Empire. An instant terror out coming in from the Forest Goblin Spider Riders, and a nice little charge coming in. And let's see, where is he going? The Night Goblin Warboss looks like he might be going after Morker. A little bit tough to say, trying to capitalize on that bonus for his infantry, but Morker is just so tough to kill. It's going to take a long, long time. So the Warboss shaken, he's getting stomped as well. The goblins in the back have taken another 400 or 500 HP off the Eye of Morsleep. They still have 13 models. These guys are just so solid. Look at them going. I mean, now they have 10 left. Forest Goblin Spider Riders are going to be coming back in, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. The little goblins that could, trying their little hearts out, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Oh man, it's so close. Forest Goblins are breaking here. Night Goblin Warboss charging back in there. It looks like a Tormentor Sword is going to get popped here, which is going to kind of neuter the combat stats a little bit. And this guy is down to 2 leadership. The Eye of Morsleep might actually break right here. That would be insane. These little Night Goblins are trying so hard, but it looks like he goes back up to 20 leadership. Goblin Warboss going to be charging back in on that heroic squig, tanking the Eye of Morsleep down to 8 leadership there in a moment, but it looks like the bows are going to be dropped, and that's going to be all she wrote for the Greenskins. So an incredibly close, well-played game between these two players. Big congrats here to Flying Taco and Slade X for the great game. And I think there's still some unbreakable lads, so it looks like there's a couple of goblins. And yeah, they deserve to go back to their halls and just tell stories of almost taking out a Cygor. I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment for the goblin. So well played to Flying Taco, and as well as Git X or Slade Crumper or Slade X, as he's actually known there. And yeah, that was a great game. A great game by both these players. It was incredibly close, and the Greenskins were like out ahead, really strong. I mean, early on, I think they were in a clear state of advantage. He was able to crump that front line, get into the back, and made it a very stressful game for Flying Taco. But Taco's Chariots were able to do great work, but that Cygor was just an absolute MVP. And I suppose that the buff to the Cygor did matter in the end, because he had that, I think it was an extra 800 HP that got buffed or something. And without that, he probably would have broken earlier, and maybe the Greenskins could have won. So, I mean, just a minor tweak there that made all the difference, I suppose. So the Eye of Morsleep was able to come out. And of course, the weapon strength over that long, grindy end battle there does matter a lot. So well played. I liked both players' builds. I mean, I think the game could have gone either way with a couple minor tweaks to tactics and just, angles. But I mean, it's just all in the heat of the battle. So very well played to Flying Taco and Slade X. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the showdown. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.